Absolutely. Good afternoon, Mr. Johnson,
Here.
Mr. Bailey,
Present.
Ms. Herbert,
Here.
Mr. Brown,
Present.
Mr. Britton,
Present.
Mr. McDowell.
Yes.
Mayor Rickaman.
Here.
Thank you.
Down, you're not saying a word?
Yeah, let us bow our heads. Your grace and mercies has taught us to be kind in our deliberations. Bless us today and the decisions we have to make, the discussions that will ensue. We pray for that deliberation. We come here today on this day of Thanksgiving, for those who find themselves devoid of substance. We pray for wholeness and wellness. Our continued prayers, of course, is for our Chief Holbrook, and his family. Undergird him with power, undergird him with grace, and allow his duties to be a part of this city's structure and dimensions. Be with the family of Bishop Redfern Deuce as they grieve his death. We ask it, we claim it, in your name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend McDowell.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, we can move forward with the adoption of the agenda as outlined.
Motion, there's a second. Any further discussion, changes? Hearing none, seeing none, Madam Clerk, please read the roll.
Mr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mr. Bailey.
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Ms. Herbert,
Aye.
Mr. Brennan.
Yes.
Mr. McDowell,
Yes.
Mayor Rickman.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our first presentation is an update on the Lurie Center. Mr. Andrew Boozer, Executive Director with Senior Resources. Hey, Andrew.
Thank y'all so much for having me on this nice warm winter day in Columbia, and with greetings from the board, Senior Resources members, and members of the advisory committee at Lurie Center and the staff here. I just want to express a word of thanks to the city council and to all the city for the great support that the Lurie Center and Senior Resources received. Really appreciate it. It's my pleasure today to give you a 2-year update on the funding that was allocated to the Lurie Center back in 2023, and also share with you a little vision and update on the future and hear from some of our members. Now, we got some new faces in the room since last time I was able to present, but so I want to give a little background. Back in 2023, the boards at the Lurie Center and Senior Resources, after a lengthy study, decided we could be better together as a unified organization. And in August of 2023, that was realized and created a one-stop senior-serving nonprofit organization for all seniors in the city of Columbia and the surrounding areas. It's really a game changer because for the first time, we really have a continuum where seniors can reach out to us in their early older adult years and be active and engaged in the Lurie Center. And then as they need more services as they age for things like our Meals on Wheels program, home care, transportation, those things, they are already familiar with us and we're familiar with them, and we can do a better job of serving our senior community in Columbia. So we're really excited, and we've seen a lot of great benefits since that day, and I want to go over a few of those things now. The first thing we wanted to do when that consummated is we wanted to revitalize the Lurie Center, and so we have done that. The city committed $450,000 over the last 3 years for the Lurie Center, and I'm happy to report that we've leveraged that for an additional over $700,000 from other sources. So we have taken what you have seen as a value in the Lurie Center and shared that vision with others and gotten others on board and working with us. So we're really excited on that. All the 17,000 square feet of the Lurie Center has been completely renovated, and we've brought a lot of new life into the center. I want to talk a little bit about what's been going on. First thing we did is we took a look at the facility, and we committed over $600,000 worth of facility improvements, and you'll see some things here on this video as it plays maybe, but as it goes around, we've created a warm, inviting, friendly environment. If you haven't been to the Lurie Center in the last year since renovations were completed, please come by and see us. It's really been a great new life, new energy brought into the building, and we're really excited about that. Second thing you don't really see is we found a more efficient way to operate the Lurie Center. We've realized over a 30% cost savings through shared administrative and overhead. And so we found a way in the Senior Resources umbrella that we can operate the Lurie Center on a more sustainable way. There was a handout that was provided in your packet. You can look at those details more clearly there. But we've achieved a balanced budget last year and again this year. And that's the first time in the last 10 years that we were able to do that. And so we've really found a great recipe for success that has put the Lurie Center on firm ground and a chance for sustainability as we're moving forward. Something I hope you've seen is more outreach into the community. We have emphasized reaching all parts of our city. We've been on a podcast with the mayor, and been able to reach out on social media with targeted ads, working with our media in Columbia to make sure that we're reaching every corner that we can in Columbia. We've created new partnerships with other nonprofits, with our healthcare partners, with all three major healthcare facilities have been involved, and also with other public entities like the South Carolina Department on Aging and Central Midlands Council of Governments to get them engaged in what is happening at the Laurie Center. Another great thing that we've been able to add to our repertoire is we've started to sign contracts with Medicare Advantage plans. A lot of those Advantage plans for seniors will cover the cost of gym memberships. And so it's a great revenue addition. It is still small. We're still working on building that program out, but with a lot of the facility upgrades we were able to do was to get the technology in place. So when a senior scans in their card, we're able to track their attendance, which then turns into a billable unit back to the insurance. So we're trying to think creatively on ways that we can bring in additional revenue, bring in additional members, and that's one way that we've been able to do it. What I'm most excited about is what we've seen in our programs. We've got more classes, about 3 times more classes than what was happening back in 2023, with over 2,200 individual class sessions offered in the last year, in addition to the gym being fully utilized. We're started with extended hours recently on the first Tuesday of the month and what we call Laurie Nights for those seniors that maybe can't come in the middle of the day because they're still working or things going on, but they want to get engaged.
Life and Health is sponsoring that.
Laurie Life and Health is engaged in that, and the South Carolina Department on Aging. And so it's really been a great thing on the first Tuesday of the month to open the doors to other folks and to make it more accessible, which is really what our goal has been. And we've seen increased access through a partnership with Prisma Health and the Richland County Memorial Board of Trustees. They are underwriting our gym. Gym used to be a premium add-on for members, but now it's open to everybody, including those who got the free City of Columbia membership with the investment from council back in 2023, and also scholarships. So we're trying to lower those burdens, invite as many people, get outreach, lower the burdens, and to get seniors active. In that same time period, we've seen a 263% increase in membership. So more people are using it. I mentioned over the last 2.5 years now, we've offered City of Columbia residents free base membership. 287 older adults have taken us up on that offer and have gotten engaged at the Laurie Center, which most of those being new members that have never been to the Laurie Center before. So we're really excited about that. And in addition, we've had over 2,600 folks use the Laurie Center who aren't members. So trying to be a community hub where activities can go on. We've got a meeting scheduled later in February with the Maxie Gregg renovations that are in the docket, but trying to find those ways that the Laurie Center is first and foremost a place for older adults, but also to be an asset for the community. And we're really excited to see those things come. I can talk all day about this, but I think the best thing to do is to hear from some members. So I got a video here, and then later on, we've got some members present as well. So hopefully this video will play. We'll come back to the video. Fair enough. So this video, we'll get it going, is an example. We got a grant from Central Carolina Community Foundation to help us reach underserved communities in our area. And it paid for video and social media content that'll help us in our outreach strategies. So one of those examples where we were able to take what we received from the city, leverage that with other community partners to pay off. And so it's really been a great thing. And so Miss Virginia, if we can get that video to work later, be happy to show that. All right. Now to share with you a little bit on where we're headed, looking ahead. As you may know, senior population is booming in America. It is booming in South Carolina, and it is booming here in the Columbia and Richland County areas. For the first time in our history, we're going to have more seniors than youth in America in 2034. In South Carolina, that number is 2030. Richland County is right in the middle of that. And so we, for the first time in our history, are going to have more older adults in our population than we're going to have youth. And so we've got to be ready for those changes.
2030?
2030 in South Carolina.
South Carolina.
That's right. And the Richland County, Columbia area is on that same timeline as the rest of the state. Maybe a little ahead, depending on how many folks decide they want to retire here and enjoy our lovely weather usually. Central Midlands Council of Government reports that our 65-plus population is going to double by 2040 in their report that they issued back in 2020. So we've got to be ready for this, and we need to be able to grow with it. This is a compounding because, one, we've got folks moving in the community, but also our longtime residents are getting older. Baby boomers are entering the generation or in their phase of life where they're looking to a place like Senior Resources and the Laurie Center and are going to need these services. And so this is something we've got to be prepared for and ready for, and I think the Laurie Center is in a prime position to do so.
Now, you say that the senior population will double in 2040?
By 2040, yes, sir.
My 2040.
By 2040?
Yes, sir. That was in a
Between
2020
now and
report.
2040?
That's right, it'll double.
It'll
Yes,
double.
sir.
Is that the movement from north to south? Or-
That is part of it, is folks are retiring to our community, and so they're coming from other places and choosing to retire here for quality of life issues. The other piece of that is our long-term residents are aging. And so as the baby boomers, which is the largest generation to come through America, enters the phase of life where they're over the age of 65, that bubble is shifting. And so they're moving into that. And so it's a compounding issue in our community where we're both attracting seniors from other parts of the other parts of the country, but also our community in itself is aging.
Could the factor be because it's getting warmer?
I'll let you decide the science on that one. But it's, we have a great place to live. That's no secret. And as the word gets out, retirees are going to have found out about us. And most of the Laurie Center, a lot of the new Laurie Center members are folks who have not grown up in Columbia. A lot of folks have moved into our community and are looking for an outreach and a place to go. And that's one niche we've been able is to connect them into a new community there at the Laurie Center.
How does Medicare and that data respond to that?
Sure. So traditional Medicare, fee-for-service Medicare doesn't really have a place that neatly fits into this, but a lot of the new Advantage plans that you hear about, and especially back in the fall when those open enrollments, a lot of those Advantage plans recognize the value of a healthy lifestyle to reduce medical care costs. And so they invest in things like the Laurie Center, could be meal programs, things that keep seniors active and in the community. Those Advantage Care plans often will have a benefit that covers some of that on the intent that that'll lower medical care costs overall. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So the Laurie Center is in a perfect position to be able to meet this need. One of the studies that came out recently was on social isolation, and we all felt that during COVID on what it was like to be stuck at home. Nobody likes that. It's actually detrimental to our health. The study out of Salt Lake City, researchers showed that social isolation is as dangerous as smoking 14 cigarettes a day. So if you don't have a connection in the community, if you don't have people that you interact with on a day-to-day basis, it is as dangerous as smoking a cigarette every hour that you are awake. And we all know what it feels like to know those folks who have battled with cigarettes and smoking, and how we have as a public addressed that and seen that going down. And now that same attention needs to be placed on how do we make sure that isolation doesn't hit, particularly our seniors, which are most vulnerable for social isolation. And that connection doesn't have to just be exercise. Certainly physical health and exercise is part of it, but it's also good for your mental health, for your emotional health, and your brain health to offset and delay the onsets of dementia and Alzheimer's, things that can really disrupt life. A healthy lifestyle and getting engaged early in your older adult years or younger really helps push those things off or delay or even prevent them completely. And so that's what we're aiming to do with the Laurie Center programming and with memberships here. So our goals moving forward is we really want to keep the momentum that we've captured over the last 2 years, continue to reach more people, to engage all across the city, to make sure that older adults realize that the Laurie Center is a place that they can take full advantage of their health and promote healthy aging. So we want to emphasize in our community the health benefits of healthy aging, and also make sure that we're welcoming hub in the community and be a good asset to the city of Columbia to make sure that it's used to the fullest of its capabilities. And what we're asking of cities, we really want to continue to be a partnership with the city of Columbia as city initiatives come up and working with directors with the different programs to make sure that healthy aging and the senior citizen population are involved in those. And we want a seat at that table and to make sure that things that the city are working on have consideration on the older adult population because it is a significant part of the growth that we are seeing. We're also on the look still for identifying financial resources for sustainability. As mentioned, we've had a balanced budget the last 2 years, and we are scratching our clawing to make next year a balanced budget as well. But if any opportunities exist either at the city or with other partners, some more information on that is on your handout. And we could really use connections, and if there opportunities exist within city initiatives as well as funding to help with that.
What is the true need, Andrew?
So our budget budget number we're fighting for right now is about $75,000. That's about half of what is current an annual contribution in the 450 commitment. So we've cut that deficit in half from where we were 3 years ago, and we're fighting and clawing to get that number is down as far as we can and working with community partners to do that. But that's the number we're shooting for right now is to identify that kind of
Additional
support. An
$75,000.
additional $75,000. It'll help us make next year's budget that'll start July 1 on a balanced budget.
Is there some background on the county's annual funding? I noticed that ceased in 2023.
Yes, so back in 2023, the county pulled all of its funding from the Laurie Center. So it no longer funded the Laurie Center, which really started the ball rolling with looking for partnerships and senior resources getting involved. The county has also revamped how they're doing their community dollars out. So Senior Resources has been a longtime partner with the county. We've got a good relationship there. The maximum amount that we can ask for at the county has been reduced by more than half this year. So rather than $548,000 we got last year, it's $470,000 this year. We have a maximum ask of $200,000 this year. So we have challenges in how to make that up, and that speaks. Most of those dollars go to like our Meals on Wheels programs and other services we're doing, not the Laurie Center specifically, but it does all fall under the same umbrella.
But let me just add to that. I know Mr. Johnson has a question. Senior Resources is the identified Department of Aging partner for Richland County. Is that correct?
That's correct. So we are through competitive RFP with Central Midlands Council of Governments Area Agency on Aging,
Right.
which is a subrecipient of the South Carolina Department on Aging, has identified Senior Resources as the Richland County service provider for senior services.
So what weight should that have?
So that typically carries with it commitment from the communities, both municipal and county level, financial commitment that helps with the match of those federal and state dollars that are coming into the community.
So let me ask you this, Andrew. How are the other 3 counties that all have, I think there's 2 in Lexington County, Department of Aging.
Yes.
How do they prioritize their relationship and their financial pipeline?
Sure. So Lexington County as a whole has committed part of their millage to go towards senior services. They don't have an independent nonprofit like Senior Resources. It's part of their Parks and Recreation. And they do have 2, one for Lexington Parks and Recreation, one for Irmo Chapin Recreation. So that's how they break that down. And so it's supported by millage in addition to any external funding that may come in or for municipal funding. The other 2 counties in the region are Newberry and Fairfield. Each of those have a line item in the budget, in the county budget.
County budget.
In the county budget. And some municipalities, of course, those are much more rural areas, also include line item budgets in there. That's not the environment that we operate in Richland County, where it's a competitive grant situation, where we're up against every other nonprofit that y'all are all very familiar with, I'm sure.
Great, thanks, Andrew.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not surprised to see Fairfield County leading the way. Mom and Daddy come here.
You gotta give us context.
Sorry,
Yeah, I was
yeah,
wondering where you're going with
Everybody don't
that.
know.
we'll put that away.
Just anytime you hear Ridgeway, Westboro.
Uh,
And Blair. And as a former senior resource board member, I appreciate the presentation and certainly the mayor's question on Richland County, the nature of Richland County's engagement. My question is more around transportation. So has there been like partnerships or conversations with the comment about how we can open up Lurie Center to more seniors?
Yeah, so there have been some conversations with Reese, the director there, Comment. He and I have had some conversations on how we can do senior transportation in general better in the Columbia area. And we do have members at the Lurie Center who rely on the DART transportation to get to and fro. Today, Makia, one of our staff, brought some of our members on one of our vans. And so we have some transportation capabilities, but the funding hasn't been available either from the Comet side or the senior resources side to really make that a standing partnership other than a destination for a place like the DART transit can certainly pick up and schedule a training. So the availability is there. There's certainly a need for senior transportation all in our community.
Micro-transit.
elsewise. And finding those ways.
Really needs to be part of that.
That's right.
Micro-transit's solving a lot of problems in a lot of communities. Spartanburg's launching theirs next week, I think. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Herbert.
Just a math question. Is that 75,000 on top of the 450 over 3 years, as in 25,000 a year, or 75,000 a year?
No, ma'am, it is 75,000. So we recognize that 450,000.
Or-
Yes, ma'am, a year. So our annual budget right now, the difference in expenses and revenue is about $75,000 for next fiscal year, which is when the city current dollars expire. Which I know is related to ARPA. And so those dollars have now expired and carry us through this fiscal year. And so that's what we realize we need to make a net difference for the next budget cycle.
So Andrew, we don't typically like to talk numbers in the work session as we're leading into the budget cycle, but this is helpful information for the council to hear, and Missy and I'll, get with you outside of this meeting and as the budget process starts up. But again, to clarify, it's not that you need $75,000 next, because this funding cycle that's already been approved by the council ends June 30th.
Right.
So you're saying moving forward, as you stabilize your budget, you need to still maintain that $150,000 per year is really what I guess has occurred. So now you're saying $225,000 a year if you added the
No,
75.
it would be 75,000 a year. So we know that 150 per year
That's
over
a
the last
one-time
3 years was one time.
So you're not,
Because those
I think
are-
that's what Councilwoman
So we
Herbert said.
recognize that elevated level of support, which was more than the city committed to the Lurie Center in the past, was one time related to the ARPA funding and our response to COVID and making a healthy community. So we recognize that. We feel like we've done a great job with that funding
Absolutely.
and completed that project.
Okay,
It continues until June 30th, but we feel confident that we'll complete that and call that chapter a rousing success. But beginning July 1 is a new chapter on how to continue this and not go back into the spiral that we were seeing in the COVID years and a few years prior. And we feel like that $75,000 difference keeps us on a balanced budget and be able to move forward and continue with all the other partnerships that I was talking about.
Well, we haven't said a thank you. I mean, the merger was probably the best thing that happened to the Lurie Center, for no doubt. And I think when you see the upgrades, I hear from people all the time, it utilizes much more. And obviously, the membership's up. You're seeing more classes. It's an array of classes that are going on as well. I ran into somebody, I think, took a Spanish class there not too long ago. And so, I think we just have to look at how we can continue to support.
Yeah. And I will say, Mr. Mayor, we see you at the COG meetings all the time. You know, the City of Columbia Council has a very active group there. And I know Department of Aging looks for potential programs specifically for grants.
That's right.
So if there's anything that we can put our heads together through that conduit of the COG specifically for the City of Columbia, please let us know.
Absolutely.
Right.
And if there's things that you see at the Lurie Center are doing well, that maybe Mr. Simons wants to bring to another community center too, just note that door, that's a two-way street. I'd love to be at that
You
table.
reaching out to our friends at
Opportunities.
Christopher Towers and Finley House?
We do, and actually,
All right.
I do actually have a resident here. I would love if we could have maybe 5 more minutes, would that be okay? To have a couple Lori Center members to tell you firsthand, and hear directly. So first, Sandra Berger, if you'll come up. Sandra was on the board of the Lori Center prior to the merger, and just wanted to let her say a few words.
Well, hi, I'm Sandra, and for all the ideas that and the updates that we've talked about already, especially the facility renovations, those have been strongly positive and they've been well accepted by the membership. Also, the variety of programs. It's been a great increase in the variety of programs and even the scheduling of programs, where we now schedule programs a quarter in advance. So there's more time to market the programs and more time to actually a greater attendance for our programs. Finally, one thing I want to talk about that hasn't been talked about yet, and it has to do with a community partnership. Last year, we've had a course that's been continuous since 2018. So this made the hump from the Lurie Center to the Senior Resources Administration. And that course is called that program is called the Lurie Lectures. And last year we had a course that was a documentary film course that we partnered with the NIC. Well, an outgrowth of that course, it was very popular, half and half, members, non-members. An outgrowth of that course was a formation of a documentary club in the city. It's independent from the NIC. However, one of its main goals is to work with the NIC to basically give more thoughtful documentaries to the NIC and certainly higher quality. This year, we began working with the NIC. The first 2 documentaries that we were involved with were both sellouts. In fact, the NIC had to change the venue for the second documentary to upstairs because to accommodate the increased crowd, and it was still a sellout. So I think you can see, we've always been gotten the reputation of promoting health and wellness of our older adults, which we do. But I think we also partner with local organizations to bring more traffic downtown and increase the success of local businesses. So, thank you.
Then Medea Abedin.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mehdi Abedin, and I'm 71-year-old, and I'm feeling very young because of this Lurie Center. And this is my happiest place because I'm 71 naturally. I was until 65. I was struggling with my children, grandchildren, everything. But somebody came to me and I said, "What do you do now?" Because I didn't have my husband for past 4 years. So I was just sitting at home feeling sorry for myself. What to do, where to go, where to find a friend. Just cooking and cleaning was not good for me because that's not my personality. So somebody said, "Let's go to Lurie Center." And I said, "What is this place?" I said, "Just come and see, maybe you like it." So I went for just one class. And I said, "I have too much energy just for the one class." So I signed for 2-3 classes. And it just become like my second home. This is the happiest place for me because everybody needs this place. When you are getting old, you have to feel alive, just not living. So I'm feeling alive every single day, and I'm looking forward to going there, meeting people, mostly not just looking at happy faces, dancing and exercising, feeling good mentally and physically. That has helped me so much. I'm so thankful to God and to the Lurie Center. This is absolutely a success story. With my husband, I could not do anything because I was taking care of him. He was in hospice care and I was his nurse. And so I did not see the other part of the world. There are so many good things here. And I love this country. And I love South Carolina because I have been here since 1970s. What more can I say? I'll just be very thankful for each day I'm coming here. And thank you very much for all of you. These beautiful people has helping me, and they're so much respect and love. Everybody is there to help you. Thank you very much for all of you. And we need money.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Medea. And I've got one more. Joseph Adams, make your way up here. I joked with Medea that we were just gonna build an apartment in the back and let her just stay there because she's always coming in. But Joseph's always with us too. So Joseph.
Good afternoon. Just briefly, I want to give you a little history on where I came from and what brought me to the Lurie Center. I'm from up north, New Jersey, and I moved from New Jersey to upstate New York, and from upstate New York to here. Now, I've always loved me some Southern cooking. So when I moved down here, I was in heaven. I was in food heaven. I was eating everything, not knowing that I was doing more harm than good. So after about 11 months, I started having problems. Now, if you all know about your body, your A1C, it was 8.9. That's no good. Blood pressure sky high, gout, problems with my joints, heart problems. And I had to overcome this. So what I had to do is go see my doctor, and my doctor told me, you got to stop eating first and get into a gym. Now, I tried the Y. It was good for about a month. But then someone else joined with a wheelchair, and it created a problem for me because I got a motorized vehicle. So after 2 months, I left it alone. I never went back. I tried to join this other place on Forest Drive, didn't work. Another place on Hardin Street, across from the Food Lion. That didn't last. But this whole time, people were telling me about the Lurie Center. So I said, let me go and check it out. And they welcomed me with open arms. Now, it raised the question to me, how often can I come to this place? And do you know, they said you can come as much as you want, as long as you're a member. You can come as much as you want. All day if you choose to. Now, I was 385 pounds July of 2024. 2025, July, I'm down to 225 pounds.
Amen.
Now, most of that goes to proper eating, but a lot of it goes to me coming 3, 4, and sometimes 5 times a day to the Lurie Center. Thanks, I appreciate it. So the moral to my story is, and I think in my heart, that I would not be, and I hate to say this, I would not be alive. I really wouldn't, because if I was still living the way I was, I'd be sitting down eating, grabbing, and doing nothing. Now I can come back and forth to the Lurie Center. So thank you. And the moral to my story is this: if it wasn't for the Lurie Center, I'd be in bad shape.
Amen.
Very bad shape. I have COPD, sarcoidosis, emphysema, bronchitis, high blood pressure, diabetes, gout, and all of that. And it was so bad. Now everything is coming back to normal. Working out. So thanks to the Lurie Center.
Amen.
That's it.
Well, I really don't know why I even got up and spoke. I should have just let them handle it all. I know we've had questions along the way, but I just want to say I want to thank the city for their trust in us back in 2023, for the Lurie Center Board and the Senior Resources Board that have worked to get us to this point. Our work's not done. We're going to continue to do it, and we're going to meet the challenges for Columbia in any way that we can support the city's efforts in these coming years. Just please know we're a willing and eager partner for everything that the city's doing. All right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
I like the exercise, I like the socializing, I thoroughly enjoy all the educational programs that they offer. There is more to do here than it would be if I were to sit and say, okay, I want to do this, this, and that, and then I would have to go all over Columbia attending these various things when I can just come right here to one place, because they've offered things that I really had not even considered even looking into, and it's like, whoa, that's something I need to consider as I'm aging, that this is an aspect of life that I may pass through, so why not be prepared for it? They have great instructors. They're knowledgeable and they are in tune to whom they're teaching. If there are things that you have not attempted in life or tried, and you think, I can't do that, or I don't want to do that, this is one place where you can put your toe in the water. You can get a taste of what it feels like.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew, I just want to say a word of thanks. If you would. Just a word of thanks to those residents who visit and come to the Lurie Center. Thank you for their stories. All of us are getting older. All of us are going to reach that point in our lives where we need a Lurie Center in our lives.
Absolutely.
Once upon a time, the Lurie Center was just a building. But you transformed it. And in transforming that building, you transform the lives of people. And for that, I thank you. And I thank the residents. Thank you all so much
You're welcome.
for being a part of our lives. Because if you're getting old, we getting old too. Thank you so much,
Thank
Andy.
you, Reverend McDowell.
Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Herbert.
Just one quick question, because some of the city facilities, they consider 50 as senior. How long, are y'all starting at 50? 'Cause
Well, we like to use older adult when we talk about a 50-year-old. But yes, 50 years old, but research has shown, if you start taking care of the things that we talked about today, before you hit that magic 65 number, your life is going to be exponentially better, 65, 75, 85, 95. But it takes that early attention. And maybe some of the great gyms and fitness clubs and things that we have around town are a perfect fit. My board member owns a great gym. I love it. But it's not for everybody. And if the Lurie Center fills that niche, and that's what our evening programming is about, how can we capture people that maybe, Orange Theory's a step too far?
That's right.
yeah, you get hurt.
But they need an outlet. Then come to the Lurie Center where we've got the equipment that is built for your phase of life to get you engaged so that you can be the next success story. And that's what the goal is.
Thank you.
If anybody wants to come work out with Joseph first thing in the morning, he's opening the door. He's the first guy in the gym. He'd be happy to show you around.
3 to 4 times a day.
That's
every
it.
day.
Great.
Is there any other questions?
The only one
the
coming
first
that.
one in and the last
only
one out.
Yes.
Coming that amount of time in the Lurie Center, right? Coming to that gym 3 to 4 times a day, every day.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And we know if you all need to leave, it is perfectly okay.
Joseph's got to hit the irons.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
Yes, sir, Andrew. Thank you.
Pleasure meeting everyone.
Thank you.
See y'all.
Take care. Thank you, sir.
We need another Lurie Center. That's what we need. Another Lurie Center.
Y'all can keep the door open, L, for me. Thank you.
While we're transitioning from how do we fund them last year? What part of funds did that come out of?
The 3-year commitment from the federal.
ARPA, American
150.
Recovery.
Oh, 50.
Yeah, I forgot what it stands for.
You had X amount of years to spend, you spend
Right,
it.
ARPA, American
Yeah, American Rescue Plan.
Recovery Plan. Ready, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Oh, do we need to wait on Mr. Bailey? Thank you.
I think he had to go take care of some legal.
Oh, okay. All right, our next presentation is the redevelopment of the former I-277 right-of-way at North Main Street and River Drive. Mr. Justin Steinman, Director of Planning and Development Services, Ms. Lucinda Statler, the Planning Administrator with Planning and Development Services. And of course, we have virtually our partners, the consultant who has helped with a lot of the work to date, with some information to share regarding potential real estate direction for this parcel, Mr. Mayor and Council, and those partners are Agora Partners, Mr. Howard Kozlov, the founder and principal, and Mr. Ben Donsky, a principal with the partnership or organization. So, thank you, Justin.
Thank you, and glad to be here. And we also have Ryan Coleman with Economic Development with
Oh,
us.
thank you, Ryan.
And I'll be very brief because all the work on this project has been done by others to date. But I did want to talk for a minute about why I think this is an exciting project for Columbia. And fundamentally, a lot of land was acquired in the 1960s and in that time period for freeways. And a lot of cities have been looking at ways to reclaim that land that broke up neighborhoods and dislocated or forced large numbers of people to relocate from their neighborhoods. And so I think this is a really exciting opportunity to kind of knit that fabric in Columbia. It also has a lot of, aside from the obvious health benefits, transportation benefits, that's one thing I definitely learned working in Chattanooga was to think about greenway infrastructure as transportation infrastructure. It's not just for recreation, it's also to help pedestrians and cyclists get from one place to another as an alternative to roadways. But there's a lot of economic benefits to projects like this too. On average, looking at Southeast Greenway projects, there's an 8 to 10 to 1 ROI when you look at the amount of public investment that goes into greenways versus the eventual private investment that's made adjacent to them. There's also a premium on land value of up to 40% for residential property that fronts on a greenway. So there's a lot of reasons to be excited about this, and Lucinda is going to talk about some more specifics about this project.
Thanks, Justin, and everybody for being here. I'm just going to run through a couple of slides that talk about just the background of this property really fast before we turn it over to our consultants. So first of all, just as a brief background, most of the property here was obtained through condemnation by the DOT back in the late 70s and early 80s for the extension of I-277. The city acquired 31.32 acres from the DOT in 2022, and currently this project is looking at about 19 acres of that property. Let's see. Do I advance the slides or do you? Okay. So just as a kind of an overview, you can see the parcels in yellow are the parts that we're talking about now. And there is some other property on the other side of North Main Street, which is not in part of this discussion. And then this is just kind of an aerial photo that you can see some of the context of the neighborhoods nearby.
Lucinda, for context, the piece north across by Big Elizabeth Place and everything, was that part of the public discussion at all, or is that just being kept separate?
It's just being kept separate for now. I think the idea is that it's not as developable because of the floodplain. So that was not part of the discussion with the neighborhoods. Good question, though. So in May of 2025, Councilwoman Herbert hosted a community workshop facilitated by Tool Design. Let's see. We had almost 100 people show up between the two workshop days. There we go. There's some great pictures from the workshop. It was really, really great event. A lot of participation, a lot of ideas. I mean, people are just really, really interested in what happens here. And so Tool was the consultant who facilitated this process, and they basically came out of it with 3 concepts with sort of different organizing principles in terms of how the development and the Greenway would work together. And there were some differences in all of those concepts, and I'm not going to dig into the weeds. I think you all have access to those reports and those diagrams. But 3 concepts sort of came out of that process and that were sort of common to all of those. And one of the most important ones, of course, is to integrate the Vista Greenway with the new development, making sure that the design and the programming of adjacent development are really integrated and thoughtful, will benefit both the development and also the Greenway by being activated. People really did appreciate the Noma Community Garden and also the open space that's kind of been informally used by youth football practices. And there was definitely a desire to see some open space be included as part of the future of this property. And then to balance the areas for density, and this is something we had talked about before the neighborhood workshops, and the community seems to agree that more intensive development should go closer to North Main, between that, Main and River, and then between River and Park Street to kind of scale that down and have something that's a little more on a smaller scale, shorter buildings and that sort of thing to fit in with the neighborhood context. As well, minimize the amount of space dedicated to parking. Certainly parking will be required, but to reinforce the walkable and bikeable nature of the existing neighborhoods, and certainly with the larger goals of the city. And then finally, to tell the story of I-277 by reconnecting the neighborhoods and making sure that these connections to the neighborhoods are, like Justin mentioned, sort of knitted back together throughout this process. And that's kind of the end of just the background slides, if anybody has any questions, but otherwise we'll just jump right in with Howard, our consultant, to talk about the real estate aspects.
Was there a reason why they recommended practice fields? Kind of, to me, that's not the place for it. I mean,
Honestly,
because where it is prime, where if you want to kind of keep the heavier density in Maine, you almost need that. I mean, there are plenty of other land there.
it was really mostly based on the community feedback. I think people just really liked seeing kids playing out there. There was acknowledgement that with Earlwood Park so close by, there are opportunities for practice fields that are.
People have just started, there are teams that use that space now. I don't know if we gave them permission.
Yeah, no, but I'm just thinking, I mean, there are other areas that are, I mean, if you're gonna have higher density, I'd rather see the playing facility maybe closer to park or somewhere in there. Or even that could be an opportunity with somewhere else, but right there seems to me the pocket where the highest density between North Main Street and River, we should be concentrating if it becomes multi-use, so if it's apartments and small retail and integrated parking or whatever happens there, to me, that area is the most intense. And it also gives you a little more ability for height there than it would if you were on the Park Street or even some of the other parcels there. So I was just curious why. So it's just feedback.
And it says practice field too, because it's pretty small. I mean, you can't get probably maybe one football field there max. I see kids out there playing, but I don't know if it's enough for practice fields. And then parking's terrible.
Yeah, and I think that's just kind of an example that they put together. I don't think there was any prescriptiveness to it in that.
Well, I know they were listening to everybody. That's why I was curious why people thought that was the
I think they
place.
just integrated it visually, but realistically, it could shift around the property depending, yeah.
We do need football fields, plural, but I don't know if that's where they ultimately go.
I think the other thing was the grading gets complicated. The closer you get to Park Street, there is some steep grade right there. So they were probably just thinking it's a flat area, but there was definitely some conversations about, is that the best use for the property? And I think it was just, the community sort of liking that folks were using
I
it.
love the connectivity to Earlwood Park. I think that makes all the sense in the world. And that also would connect the Greenway there, correct?
Right, so
That's the rail trail.
Exactly, yes. So currently, the Greenway goes from, it goes up to the Elmwood Viaduct from Lady Street. And our city engineering team has really designed most of it from there all the way to North Main, and they're working on the next section that'll go all the way to Bull Street. So And, that design could be tweaked, obviously, according to how this develops. But that connectivity is critically important. And of course, as you'll also know, the new buffered bike lanes that were installed in 2024 on River Drive would also be a key intersection, where people on that bike facility could get on the Greenway and go either to Bull Street or to downtown. So it does provide some transportation options as well as, the recreational part. I guess if there are no more questions, I'll turn it over to Howard Kozlov and Ben Donsky of Agora Partners. They've been great in working with us. Did you want to say anything, Ryan, before they get on? From the economic development standpoint, or?
No, I think you hit on most of it. It is a really good economic development and commercial development opportunity for the city. And we'll talk about it a little bit more. I mean, the site is very interesting, which is kind of what's led us to have this discussion. We kind of went in this initially attempting to apply zoning to it, and with the way it's broke out between heavier commercial use near North Main, with the residential down near the neighborhoods, with the topography, with the inclusion of Vista Greenway, we struggled to figure out how to kind of put all that together, and Agora has come in and kind of helped us think our way through it. And to be able to put something out there to solicit development that I think takes into account how the public benefit of the property can be maximized first, before then going through the technical process of putting zoning over it. Because if we put zoning on it too early, we obviously have to go back and change it, and we didn't want to measure once, cut twice with that approach.
So,
You ready?
yeah, I think so. Oh, Howard? Oh, yeah, okay. Do I switch this?
Well, thank you. It's great to be here virtually with everybody. My name is Howard Kozlov. I'm the founder and principal of Agora Partners. My partner, Ben Donsky, also a principal at Agora, is also on. And just by way of very quick background, Ben and I, between the two of us, have about 50 years of work focusing solely on public spaces. That includes privately owned and publicly owned public spaces, urban, suburban, ex-urban, rural, large, small, different ownership structures, different governance structures. And basically, the premise of our firm is in effect creating a business plan for public spaces. And key to that first is defining what value means and then maximizing value. So needless to say, with public spaces, value is not always based on dollars and cents. They're very often and almost always civic goals at hand. And so we look at marrying the different revenue development opportunities, management, operations, governance, with the public mission of public spaces. This is our first time working in Columbia, but we have worked all over the country. I think we're up to about 40 different states, a lot of different circumstances and scenarios. And we've done quite a bit of work in the Southeast, both in the past and currently. We're actually working in Chattanooga. There's mention of the Riverfront Park there. Georgia, North Carolina, other parts, South Carolina, of course, many other locations. The way that we framed this and understood the Greenway opportunity and potential development opportunities was first to catalyze housing development, and again, that can be different scales, different densities, which we'll get into, and really how that can activate the Vista Greenway. We looked at city-owned land as a development lever, and as was mentioned earlier, there's multiples on return of investment that when catalyzed properly can really have those spin-off effects and public benefits. And with the land, of course, there's options to sell it outright or to enter into ground leases. Selling it outright, there's a larger capital flow that comes as a result of that. But ground leases, you can build revenue over the longer term and maintain more control. Next slide, please. So with the understanding of those opportunities, the key goals again were to identify development opportunities along the Greenway, generate revenue for the city and foster investment, and then support entrepreneurial planning and city building goals. And what we mean by entrepreneurial planning, that's a term and concept that we coined and that we use. And it's the idea of leveraging both entrepreneurial thinking with the combination of planning goals and objectives as identified by the community and public sector. So understanding that those two should work in concert rather than at odds with one another, and that there's the mutually beneficial gains that can come from that. Next, please. So again, strategy overview, given the opportunities and goals, leveraging the city-owned parcels, using long-term ground leases and public-private partnerships, and really creating sustained funding. And what that means is that it's important, obviously, to come up with the plan and execute the plan, but what happens on day one once it's executed? How do you sustain the level of activity? How do you provide funding for ongoing operations and management? Next, please. Uniqueness of the site, and you all know it better than we do, frankly, but we really dug in and tried to understand it as best we can. Understanding again, we're not locals. Irregular parcels, and land is makes it a little more difficult in terms of contemplating how future development might look.
Howard.
Yes.
The mayor had a quick question about, how do you fund ongoing operating costs?
Well, I mean, I'm trying to understand
those
where
are?
you were headed with that, with ongoing funding. What are you talking about?
Yeah, so if there are public spaces, there's ideas around how do you sustain the management and operations of those? How do you create funds that come in on an ongoing basis? So a ground lease, for example, is one way to do that. It's recurring funding. It's not a one-time sale that provides a single windfall of money. When we are working with public spaces, we also put together and think about revenue development plans that may come from, again, ongoing property contributions of one sort or another. There can be mechanisms like TIP funding. Are there commercial enterprises or buildings, like smaller scale retail in this case, that will pay rent that goes back into the management and operations? It's a similar construct to business improvement districts that are often set up where the idea, again, is value capture. And if the city is putting investment and putting time and effort into creating a public amenity, there will be others that benefit from that value creation. And so some of that value creation very often comes back into the public spaces to provide that ongoing funding. Does that address your
Yeah, I was
question?
just trying to figure out where you're going because you're talking more about ground leases and others, and we don't know where we're headed yet. You're just giving us some options. It just sounded like you were directing it there. You didn't talk about the public spaces, so it makes all the sense in the world. Thank you.
You bet. So another unique attribute here that is an opportunity is that it's not currently zoned. So that both allows the community and public agencies to help shape what can and should go there, but at the same time also provides somewhat of a blank canvas. We understand the investment going into the bridge replacement, the success of the Bull Street District, adjacencies to the downtown grid, which helps give some form. And as Lucinda mentioned earlier, there's some topography challenges, obviously nothing that can't be overcome, but certainly need to be considered. And then the surrounding communities. And that goes back to the notion of the entrepreneurial planning concept, where planning is given equal credence to fit into what's already there and understand that this is going to be a new development that sits in the middle of a number of existing communities. Next, please. Very briefly, market snapshot. The rental demand in the immediate area and also throughout Columbia is relatively strong. What has been interesting about the ongoing debate regionally and nationally around the real estate market, which in some cases has been sluggish, demand still persists. So in the real estate world, we talk about the fundamentals, that being mainly supply and demand. The fundamentals are in place. So that's not to say that hundreds of units should be dumped into the market at the same time. So that speaks to the importance of phasing. But there's every reason to believe that there is sufficient demand over time to absorb some number of new residential units. A 7 to 10% vacancy is reasonable. I think ideally you want to see vacancy a little bit lower. That being said, that helps. If vacancy is lower, that's going to drive costs up. So there are trade-offs there. Again, that idea of defining value and what's important comes into play there. Existing workforce, the university, the opportunity bill, that's what we see as primarily driving the market here. Next, please. And just touching briefly, Lucinda touched on the tool design concept. We work with a whole lot of different architects, landscape architects, and planners. We are not a design firm. And this is just one option that Tool had presented. We think that the rationale and the thinking behind it is absolutely right on track. Where and to what extent the different densities go to be determined. But we understand that density, walkability, and again, the notion of activation along the greenway is what's paramount. Next, please. There was some mention of other greenway strategies that have been successful, and I want to say, first and foremost, that Dallas image is about development next to greenway, the lower right. It's not a recommendation on that this should necessarily be 12 stories of apartments, but greenways become both a public amenity and a development driver. And as mentioned earlier with the zoning that is yet to be fully determined, that gives the opportunity to shape how development around the greenway might proceed. Atlanta along the Beltline is a national example. That's a large scale and of course a larger city, but the opportunity again to shape the character of different development parcels within different neighborhoods was really quite a big driver of that development, and it's ongoing. It's meant to be phased over many years, but it's really been quite successful. Next, please. And a snapshot of what different densities might look like. Excuse me. Targets here, students, professionals, downsizers. We think that there may be opportunity down the road for lower scale townhomes or what we call cottage lots. That's a little bit harder in today's market. Mid and high density. Again, those bottom two images on the right give you an idea of what we're talking about here. So not skyscrapers, not even mid-rise, but 3-4 story types of properties. Next, please. This is an example, excuse me, of what 80 units per acre might look like. The idea behind 80 units, it's not necessarily a magic number, but why we zeroed in on that is both because it supports walkability in some retail, and then it maximizes that value capture that I mentioned. The more units up to the point that are on a property, arguably, the more value the city can obtain on a dollars basis. But again, that dollars might conflict with some of the public policy basis. So the 80 units is meant to be somewhat of a middle ground that, as you'll see in a later slide, that's similar to the Bennett at Bull Street, which we identified as one of the local precedents for quote unquote the right amount of density at the high end, but also, as I mentioned previously, some lower density as well. Next. Just for basis of comparison and benchmarking, these are the numbers that we looked at for construction costs. These numbers are moving constantly. So, excuse me, these numbers are not to be taken as stake in the ground, but more again as a benchmark or guideline. I heard a stat recently that construction costs over a recent 20-year period went up about 60%. So doing rough math, that's about 3% a year. In the 2 years following COVID, construction costs went up 50%. And typically, once costs go up, they don't really come down. So the market has to catch up. But it's just, I tell you that just as an example of how variable construction costs have been. But we wanted to have this out there so you understood where we're coming from in terms of thinking about densities, values, and costs. Next, please.
Howard, is that on your high density model, Howard?
Yes, sir.
The 260 per door, is that on your high density, recommended density?
Yes.
All right.
And that's that is an umbrella amount that there are going to be a whole lot of variations within that depending on parking considerations. Is it podium? Is it surface parking? Is it structured garage? What the amenities are going to be. It will vary quite a bit. And as mentioned, Bennett Upholstery, we saw this as a good market comp for the higher density product. Based on available information, we saw those rents at an average of $272 a foot. But the biggest indicator here being that it confirmed market demand for this type of product. So we're not recommending the density go above this. We're not recommending that all of the parcels be used or be at this density. But to give an idea of what the maximum density might look like, this is what we zeroed in. And I believe that's the last slide. Yes.
Yes. So I guess it's just questions and comments from council.
Part of what they did is they took what the community had talked about and give us some ideas. So at this stage, I mean, we have an idea of mixed use, public spaces wanted. I know, dog park and other things have been talked about. I believe some of the feedback was integrate parking in it so that there's no big parking structures and wasted land on parking, I believe I heard as well. So looking at that from a zoning standpoint, I mean, is this something we're gonna put out there, we're doing an RFI on this for a master developer? We're gonna phase it out? Are we thinking that we want to negotiate a development agreement with a potential developer when they come to the table versus trying to, because obviously people are gonna have different ideas, obviously incorporating, what we're hearing, because it's a lot of what I've heard is a lot of what we've heard before, so it's really kind of laying out what the public wants there. They see this as a centerpiece to, really help with that Main Street development.
Well, why wouldn't we just concentrate on like the zoning of the areas and
My only thing is,
leave it
well, what if
open?
somebody says, well, I'm gonna do housing over here, this person goes, no, I wanna buy the parcel, but I'm gonna put my green space over here, I'm gonna have this more density, or I'm gonna have it more level. I think because it's odd a little bit, but also where it's centered, I think we gotta have a little bit of room, and if we do a development agreement, does that give us a little more ability when it comes to some of the open spaces? I don't know, I'm just throwing that out for a discussion, because we got an open canvas which we haven't had, and I think since Bull Street.
So, what we talked about with the staff was doing a request for qualifications, because before doing the zoning, because this is how we get insight into what Joe Blow versus John.
No.
I tried. But to me, that's the best way to get an idea of what folks are looking at, and then we can pick and choose.
And does it fit into what we know that we've gotten the feedback on?
And it doesn't limit us to what we know and what we think.
One, our consulting does have some additional specific recommendations about that we kind of, so we have a second part of this to talk about in the executive session, so we can skip. We may want to talk about some of that.
And I think it's for all the points that y'all just made. There's a lot of factors going on with the property, with the input from the neighborhoods, with the greenway. It's large, it's very uniquely shaped, and we're probably not even sure kind of like what the development arrangements may look for this. You may have a master developer that comes in. You may have a joint venture with some folks. This thing could probably get sliced and diced a number of ways. So as Councilwoman Herbert said, start off looking at an RFQ type process, see what comes in, and then based on the response from the development community, that informs how, we as staff can react to that, and then look at applying the zoning to match what they're bringing to the table.
A little bit of expectations too. you
Yes.
know. One thing I didn't hear in what they were discussing earlier too is there's an opportunity there for people to have ownership as well, if it's condos or townhomes. I mean, it's such a unique piece of property, and there is a need for that. We need condos as well.
I think quality of construction is
What's gonna
important
be a
too.
big part,
Yeah.
100%, this is what y'all can get. No, this is what we want.
And I think that's some of the input that we want to kind of refine what the final RFQ looks like and what's included in there for the city's requirements.
And I will say, one good thing that came out of the public hearings was several people said any of these would be great. So there was no, this is awful. I mean, everyone, all of the designs that were up there, several comments were great. Any of these would be great. So that
Basic
was,
level of openness.
yeah, very interesting.
Well, the other thing I heard was don't drag it out for 10 years.
Where's the city? But we'll try.
No promises.
Thank
Anybody have any other questions at this point? And from a city standpoint, when do you anticipate whatever path we go on, getting this out? Do you have an idea?
We can talk about it here shortly, a little bit more. Yes, sir. Thank you all so much. I think we're gonna transition into executive session, so then we can further.
Mr. Mayor, I want to make a motion to enter into executive session for discussion of matters relating to the proposed location expansion and provision of services encouraging location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by the public body pursuant to SE Code 30-47085, former I-277 right-of-way at North Main Street and River Drive and Bull Street District. And then also discussion of negotiations incident to proposed contractual arrangements pursuant to SC Code 30-47082, busted plug. And also discussion of the employment of an employee pursuant to 3470A1 municipal court judges.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, seeing none. Madam Clerk, could you read the roll?
Mr. Johnson? Mr. Bailey?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Herbert? Mr. Brennan?
Yes.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Aye.
Yeah. Keep it.
Why didn't somebody? I just need a minute. Y'all can start with that.